This is Jessy from Quartermaster, and I'm sitting here with Alison from Purity.
Hi.
Today, we're going to talk about a lot of different trends in the industry. We're going to talk, especially the longevity trends, because a lot of the people that we get in the store are actually coming in order to better their lives and hopefully find a better way to go through life and age through life in a healthy way altogether. And there's a lot of solutions for that. So we're really happy to have Alison here with us.
Thanks for having me.
So, Alison, how about you introduce yourself and you let us know exactly, or let the people know, what do you do at Purity and what Purity is to us?
For sure. So I've been with Purity for about 2 years, but I've been in this industry since I was 20. I grew up in a farming background, so natural remedies have always sort of been my way. But Purity is a distributor, but more than a distributor, they're a business development, right? So we don't just look for brands we can sell. We look for brands that have good moral background, good ethics, good ethos, and trends, of course. So we're always looking for something to supply community-based brick and mortar health food stores with the best possible options to their customers, backed by science, research, and results.
And that's something that often enough we have to have a conversation with customers about.
For sure.
Is that, yes, you do the research and you try to provide with better brands that fit with and align with a certain philosophy, and that you know that your consumer base are looking for altogether. The more you have people in the industry doing it, the easier it gets for a small business perspective. So whenever I place my orders through Purity, I can order a whole bunch of different brands, and I know that effectively they align with our philosophies and that they do have a market that appeals to our customers as well too. And it really makes it easier because then often enough, whenever you're ordering from one company, I have to order so much of.
Right.
Or a smaller store. So ordering from Purity makes it that I can order from a lot of different brands in a quantity that I need.
Yeah.
And I can also order as often as I want to. So that's where it's really convenient to you, the consumer, because then you know that I have these products coming in as soon as possible into the store.
Definitely.
So in terms of the longevity trend, let's talk about cardiovascular health.
For sure.
One of the brands that have been doing very well with us has been Kyolic. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Kyolic?
Okay, so one of my favorite brands, I think it was originally founded in 1955 by Wakanaga, and they brought it to North America in 1972.
Okay, so it's been around for quite a long time.
Very long time.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they do one product and they do it really, really well. So from soil to shelf, they do organic farming practices on garlic. So everybody knows a lot about garlic.
And we all know that we all want the garlic. I usually joke around and say, hey, we want the garlic to make sure that we don't have any vampires running around.
Yeah.
As we can tell, it's working. We don't have any vampires running around. I hope. I think.
I mean, who can say? These days, who can say? But there's over 200 compounds in garlic. But some of the, I don't want to say side effects, but some of the downfalls to garlic is we can get gastrointestinal upset. We can have a metallic-y taste in our mouth or a really strong odor. So through the trademark patent of how Kyolic does their garlic is it's aged and odorless.
Right.
So we're getting all of those long-term benefits that garlic's known for, like in all traditional practices, but without the less desirable effects.
Exactly, because nobody wants to be walking around smelling like garlic.
No,
right?
or having, acidity issues in their stomach because of how potent the active ingredients in it
and
are.
Especially if you want to make it quite potent and you try to increase the strength of it.
Yeah,
yes,
optimize.
That's going to be, optimize is a good
For
word.
sure.
That's where effectively, so it's going to be quite hard on people's stomachs.
Yeah, it can be. And especially because the demographics that it works so well with is recreational athletics, but also aging. And so as we age, as we all know, our digestive enzymes go down as well. So we want to make it as bioavailable, as potent, but without any repercussions. And Kyolic has absolutely mastered that aspect of it.
This is the line that we're carrying around in the store. Now, there's a lot of studies on the Kyolic aged garlic. How about you walk us through some of the studies that have been emerging in the last little bit?
For sure. So what they've been known for, there's over 100 studies between hospitals and universities and things like that. So they've always been known for cholesterol, cardiovascular, and immune. The recent studies that have been coming out from Dr. Karen Reed, I think it was just this past January, was all about moderate athleticism in adults And we're talking about VO2 max, so the ability to recover, your oxygen capacity, reduction in DOM, so how sore you're feeling, as well as just overall energy output, which majority of people don't think of Kyolic or garlic for energy output.
Right.
They think of a stimulant.
Exactly.
Right.
You're thinking about your pre-workout, and you're also, I feel like a lot of people have basically shifted their mindset into thinking that a lot of these things are for athletes that you see on TV competing for the Olympics all the time. But a lot of us are very active.
For sure.
And we're trying to maintain activity for as long as we want to in order to be able to have the muscle base that we need, the quality of life, the brain, the mental health.
Yeah.
And I think we saw that a lot through the pandemic, is that, again, a lot of these physical activity help with our mental stability as well, too.
And our recall ability as well. Yeah.
But then that's the thing, is that if we can have natural options to help us through that, that's where effectively these studies are really helpful to. It's nice to have these options that are in nature, but whenever we have studies to confirm and actually quantify what they're doing for us, I think it's magnificent. That's the beauty of this industry.
Absolutely. And if I can't emphasize it enough, somebody's biking to work. They're gardening for the entire day. They know that they have a lot on their plate. And it's not that they're doing it faster and more frantically. They're doing it with greater energy. And I think that's what the studies are more so showing, is you're not going to be, jittery and going so fast. It's that you're not going to feel fatigued at the same rate you normally
would. You're going to recover better, and you're going to enjoy this activity for a longer period of time.
Correct. Yeah.
That is fantastic. So what are we seeing with these kind of studies you said? So basically greater VO2 max?
Greater VO2 max, cardio, also strengthening of the arterial walls.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we're thinking heart attack prevention, right? Making sure that the body can handle the stress that's being put on it.
And I think that's important as well, too, is that, yes, we put on a lot on ourselves. It's just, can the body basically adapt to that?
For sure.
So we like these adaptogenic properties for sure. So more in terms of the longevity trend, as we're aging, our ability to digest food kind of goes down. And one of the things that we need digestion for to begin with is to get those vital nutrients. And one of those vital nutrients that you need in order to get oxygen going through the body is going to be iron. And one of the brands that's been around in the market that has dominated the iron market for such a long time is Salus. Salus basically makes Floridix and Floravit. Floridix is the original formula, and then the Floravit is going to be the gluten-free and yeast-free formula for the people that have that need for themselves, so that we can reach a wider audience. So explain to us a little bit more about Salus and what that company does.
For sure. So I have like a love affair for this brand. I truly love Salus. So it's a German company, and it's been family owned and operated throughout. What really fascinates me is from making their own equipment to developing their soil, to harvesting, to drying, to bottling. They oversee the entire process.
That is amazing.
Yes, it's a really big deal. And sorry, if I may, just one other thing.
Go for it.
So a lot of times when we see liquid solutions, it's a bunch of sourcing of raw materials, and then they emulsify it into an aqueous solution. But because this is done from soil to herb to drying, it's completely emulsified the whole way through. So you're getting a much higher bioavailability and absorption rate, but the quality and the cleanliness of the ingredients is ensured the whole way through. Compatibility.
Okay, there you go. Because that's the thing, is that we tend to think, okay, liquid is better. And yes, there was a time where, the more you had liquids nutrient, the faster it got into your system. But like you're saying, there's more to that in terms of what are the raw materials you're getting and how they're binding together. So sometimes having an optimal standardized way of doing it makes it that you're absorbing it better, whether it be liquid or solid. But at this point in time, again, Floridix, Floravit, basically are two products that are going to be in liquid. It's also available in capsule if you need it.
Yes.
Now, Salus makes a whole bunch of different products. It's just that a lot of our customers only know the iron. But one of the other things that we're seeing in terms of the longevity trend is basically how your liver function and how we're trying to make sure that it stays optimal. Your liver will do whatever it needs to do. Yeah. And that's just basically the liver knows what it needs to do.
Right.
However, how can we help that? So Salus has an actual solution.
Yes. So similar to the iron, where we are getting the best out of it, right? Salus is making sure that milk thistle isn't just the extract and concentration of silymarin, which is like the long name for it, right?
Yeah, so silymarin is the antioxidant, the active component that we know that milk thistle has that has action on the liver.
So sometimes you'll hear people say, and it's a bigger statement than I could ever explain, but nature knows better than us, right? So we can extract individual compounds as much as we want, but then does the body know how to process it? Does it have the cofactors? Are we high enough in other mineral content? So because Salus is using the whole entire herb, we're getting added benefits, ensuring liver support, but gentle detoxification. It's not something that you have to cycle where you go on it and go off of it. Because it's gentle and effective, you can use it continuously.
And it tastes so good.
Yes.
That's the other thing too, is that natural supplements didn't used to taste that great.
No, they did not.
So people had a hard time complying. So it's kind of like, I want to do all these things for my health. I just can't seem to remember to do it because I'm trying to forget about it. So it's like, I tried it. It tastes so good. The other thing that really impressed me with that product is the fact that you have other ingredients that actually help the liver, as well as urine flow and antioxidant. And it's not just mixed with water type of thing, right? Exactly. So again, really optimizing what the product does to begin with.
And I think that's the whole point. It's not just taking milk thistle for the sake of taking milk thistle. We want the product to actually be effective and for you to be able 6 months later to go and get your blood work done and see a result, right? So I think Salus has really mastered the art of efficacious, like vegan, plant-sourced, natural ingredients. And, you know, to what you were saying about the taste, it still tastes natural. It's not covered up with a synthetic, like caramel, rainbow sherbet flavor profile. It does taste natural, but it's tolerable and enjoyable. Yes. So continuing on with longevity trends, protein. It has always been something we need. We know it's a macronutrient, right? But all of a sudden, it's on everybody's radar. And I'm just curious, what have you seen in the store? But also, can you just break down for us, what is protein?
What is protein? Okay, so protein is what we call a macronutrient. Macronutrients are required in large amount by the body because they are needed for greater functions in the body. So you have 3 different categories of macronutrient, protein being one of them, but you also have your fats, you have your carbohydrates, right? Everything else is at that point is going to be like more of a micronutrient. There's a lot of more subcategories. We won't get into it today. Focus on protein. So protein basically are made out of amino acids. So they're basically building blocks.
Yeah.
Now, there's going to be 9 of the essential amino acid, and that's the non-debatable. You don't want to go without them one way or another. It's just that there's a lot of amino acids, and a lot of those amino acids do a lot of things in the body.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that it does. So, of course, I'm coming from an athletic background altogether. People's like, oh, athletes,
yeah.
and muscle.
Yeah.
However, what we're seeing in the longevity is that we want to basically live longer, but we also want to have a greater quality of life, and we want to be able to do things for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
You know, walk with our friends, you know, play around with the grandchildren,
carry the
groceries, being able to go up and down the stairs. You need to have a certain amount of muscle function for that, for one thing. So a lot of these amino acids are helpful for that. Your heart is a muscle. We want the cardiovascular system that we want to, as much as we also have the great Kyolic Garlic to help with cardiovascular. We also want the building blocks to help your heart do what it needs to do. A lot of people forget that a lot of these amino acids are cofactors in how a lot of neurons function. So we're seeing a lot of emerging research for mental health, and a lot of mental health can be mitigated in some aspect and sometimes in combination with, but getting an appropriate amount of protein. Your joint, creating collagen. Some people come in with hair, skin, and nails issues, and then sometimes the question is just, well, yes, it's protein your iron, intake, it's you know, it's going to be your thyroid, but sometimes your protein intake is going to be.
So how much protein does a person need?
That's the thing. So a lot of great research and a lot of updates in terms of how much protein people need.
Okay.
So right now, the RDA for the minimal amount of protein is 0.8 grams of protein. 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So if you want to figure that out for yourself, that is going to be your weight in pounds. Divide that by 2.2.
Yes.
We'll leave the formula on the screen. Okay. And then you're going to multiply that by 0.8. However, that is the minimal to make sure.
That's minimal.
That is minimal, and it's not optimizing.
Right.
And it's basically the amount that they felt, well, we're hoping you don't die with that amount type of thing.
Where your body doesn't start, what's the word, cannibalizing itself, right?
Right. However, what we're really realizing is that actually it's not enough even for that. So whenever you're looking at the more you're using muscle, the more you need of protein. Having said that, because people are active and because you want a lot of these amino acids circulating around to be able to do all the things that we talked about. And whenever we're taking about age-related sarcopenia, what that means is basically over the course of time, your muscle shrinking and shrinking and shrinking.
Naturally.
Yeah. But part of it is also going to be the diet.
Right.
And if you don't have a lot of the building blocks to help with that, unfortunately, your body is going to start doing that. And sometimes, people are coming from a fall or need recovery, for example. So we're seeing a lot of people within an older age category, for lack of a better word, coming in and trying to get protein. So what we found in terms of the research is that we want you at least on 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight.
Yeah.
And that is the minimal in order to get the results that you want to. Sometimes going higher is not necessarily necessary.
Right.
Having said that, that also depends on your activity level. So
course.
Somebody that is more active we'll see athletes going to 2.2. Now, having said that, a lot of the backlash we've seen over the years for protein is like, well, what about my kidneys? What about my kidneys? So the idea with kidney health is that if your kidney are already not functioning properly for one reason or another, there's different people that will have different issues based on their genetics, for example, then yes, you would need to talk to a dietitian or to a practitioner in order to discuss the amount of protein, because you still want protein. It's just how much of it you need in order to make sure not to affect your kidneys at that point, because your kidneys are already not filtering the byproducts as well. If you do not, however, have any issues with kidney prior to, higher intakes of protein will not affect your kidney. We've had a lot of evidence showing that at this point in time.
And so I think sometimes people go, okay, protein, meat source, that's so expensive. Groceries are already expensive. Can you talk a little bit about vegan versus meat sourced or plant-based, and some of the different options that Quartermaster has?
Right. So that's the thing, is that I feel like I've been advocating this for a very long time, and we're starting to see the research kind of catching up to it. And I think part of it is that the whole world and the body of evidence is not aware of what's available.
Right.
So as much as we have a lot of research on whey protein, and that's going to be a natural source that has all of the amino acids that you need.
Yeah.
And again,
the essentials plus more.
Exactly. Yeah. And your meat sources as well too. You can get protein everywhere.
Yes.
It's the amount that matters. So effectively, if you're going to do this with food and food only, and you're vegan, you do have to be more mindful.
Yeah, it's a strategy, I guess,
a strategy.
Right? Yeah.
So you're going to get it through your legumes. You're going to get it through your seeds and nuts. You're going to get it through whole grains.
Yeah.
And the combination of all that, insofar that you're achieving that amount that we talked about based on your weight, again, you would still be able to thrive as an individual and optimize your protein as an individual, whether you decide to do vegan or non-vegan. Having said that, in terms of the protein powders, it was really hard to find sources of protein in a powder form that had all of those amino acids that were completed, let's say 20 years ago. But over the course of the years, a lot of brands have perfected that.
Yes.
And that's where effectively we're seeing more and more studies saying whether you decide to do vegan or non-vegan protein powders. And that's if you decide to do protein powders, not everybody's able to kind of walk around and make it, cook a steak type of thing, or boil an egg, or have a bowl of legume like while you're driving in a car and you're on the floor working type of thing. So often the people will see me with my protein shake, which is right in this corner, for that reason. But what we're seeing in terms of the emerging research is that there's no, you can get the same.
You can find a way.
You can find a way, and your vegan versus non-vegan protein.
Right.
The debate is not there anymore.
Yes.
Companies have done so well in making sure that you get a great absorbable protein with all the amino acid, essential amino acid, and conditional and non-essential amino acid in order to optimize your health. Again, disregarding whether it be vegan or not. So that's where I'm going to shift back it to you and tell us what we've seen around that is hopefully Canadian in terms of what's been emerging.
For sure.
For protein.
For sure. So for the longest time, there was very limited options for vegan protein, and it was usually a single ingredient, right? Which didn't necessarily have the complete 9 essential amino acid profile. But then along came Good Protein. And so Good Protein is a Quebec-based brand. Edward founded it in 2019. And the push point was that a lot of the vegan proteins were either incomplete or had a gritty texture to them and weren't overly flavorful. Like you couldn't get that creamy sort of consistency
to it. And that's the main feedback we've been getting from customers is that, oh yeah, we have all these protein, but we don't like the texture of them.
Yeah.
How does this one
How can I hide it? How can I do this? So the beautiful thing about Good Protein is it's rich in the rice protein, which has high levels of L-lysine, but maybe lower levels of methionine. But then they pair it with another vegan protein that's high in methionine, but then lower in lysine. So you're already getting that balancing act worked out for you in combination with enzymes to ensure breakdown. It's got a little bit of flax in there to make it really like thick and creamy. So if you want to froth it up into a big Buddha bowl, acai bowl, you can kind of thing, right? Like it's decadent and luxury protein, but also easy to flip over to. I want to put it in my morning muffins. I want to hide it in my kids, oatmeal cookies. Like there's a way to get it in there that doesn't degrade the quality of the protein.
Because people think, oh, I have to make a shake. I have to make a shake. I have to make a shake. But it's like, no, there's so many ways to be creative.
Ice cream is one of my favorite ones. Yeah, right? With banana, mash it up and then freeze it.
Especially with this heat of the summer.
Yes, popsicles. Yeah, you can literally do anything with it.
There you go. I always think oatmeal. That's one of my favorite ways to hide it in.
That's
for example,
a good go-to.
If you're doing any baking, for example. But again, the main drawback is going to be, again, how gritty it is and what's the flavor. So the more you can get people to get onto a habit that is going to be sustainable.
A ritual,
And there's going to be, I like that word, a ritual.
Yeah.
Then the more you're going to have people basically being able to do the same thing over and over again and actually creating a healthy habit for themselves.
And I think, like, not to use this word because I think it's been abused a little bit, but like that is a version of self-care, is like finding a solution that has benefits to it, but that there's joy and like as you're doing it, you're giving back to yourself as well.
And that's the thing that I think we've been emphasizing a lot in holistic health is effectively how do you make this an enjoyable moment for yourself? Because I think digestion, starts in so many different ways. If you're already reluctant to do whatever you need to do for yourself, I don't find that people find joy in their daily lives, and I don't feel like your body is receptive to it. And sometimes I wonder if even the body can be optimized by, can you optimize your health and your mental health by doing things? And of course, there's a little bit of, you want to challenge your brain to do things that you don't always like in some aspect.
Of course.
But this is something that you don't have to be challenged by.
No,
there's options.
And you're getting great flavor profiles too. Yes.
Too, right?
Yes.
So we love that. And we love to see a lot of emerging Canadian companies. How long has Good Protein been around for?
So this is the best part. It's only since 2019.
Oh, wow.
They were a viral sensation. So from my understanding, Edward was like, okay, I don't like the vegan protein options that are on the market. I'm going to make something where there isn't a compromise. And they were exclusively online. Like you had to order them from their website originally. That's all changed because now they're available in health food stores and you can try a variety or you can stick to the one you know and love.
Exactly.
But they can also be tweaked. I find that even though the flavor profiles are like strong, as in like they're flavorful, right? You can still manipulate them to be how you want them at home. If you want the chocolate to have more of a cherry profile, sure, we're going to throw in some frozen cherries, right? Like you can still make it your own and it's not going to overwhelm whatever you've got going in the kitchen.
And we thank people like Alison at Purity for making that available to us stores to be able to get that over to you. Okay.
Definitely.
With that being said, thank you so much, Alison, for coming in. Thank you to Purity for being a great partner and basically supporting our store with some of the great products we have on the market today.
And thank you to Quartermaster and all the customers in the Wortley Village. It's a beautiful opportunity to get to support a health food store, not just an entity or anything like that. And when you walk in here with how much care you've put into and curated, I know your community is taken care of.
And that's the reason why we're a community store. We'll see you inside Quartermaster.